Welcome to the Nick Ingersöll Show.
The real samurai in the house.
Woo.
What's up, bro? Thanks for coming on the show, man.
I appreciate them. Hey, that beat was sick, man. Did you get that from premiumbeats.com?
Something like that,
yes,
yeah.
That's good. That's what's up. What's good, man?
I wish I could take the credit for making the beat since I do like to make music, but I didn't make that one.
That's all good, man. That's what we do. That's why you stay busy and that's why you're making money.
Yeah, that's right, man. Well, again, thanks for coming on. You know, we've known each other for how long now? 3 years or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It's been fast. And it's been good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm always awesome. Feeling your vibe. I really appreciate that, dude.
Likewise. You know, I feel like, you know, we were talking a little bit about this before the show, but like life is so short that you kind of have to, when you find cool and good people in the universe, you kind of need to corral them and keep them somewhat close to you. And I consider you one of those people. So,
man, hey, fist bump. I'm serious when I say this, that every single day when you wake up, especially now that I'm in my 40s, like I gotta count down the days, dude. Like when I wake up, I'm like, oh man, I'm so fortunate. But I'm also one day closer to my death date, and then that's my impetus for just going out and just kicking ass in life, man.
Absolutely. Well, you know, when you have that realization, and maybe it comes to you when you turn 40, maybe it comes to you when you know you have a death in the family or something happens. It really does sort of make you think like, wow, I just got to put one foot in front of the opposite foot, in front of the opposite foot, in front of the opposite foot, and just keep moving until you get to where you need to be.
Yeah, and mind you, you're going to backstep a few times too, and that's sometimes necessary. You know, you got to backtrack and just be like, okay, cool, that didn't work, that hurt. Well, that was a bit scary, but all right, let's just put one more foot in front of the other and see where it goes.
Yeah, and the commonality that, I guess the way that we initially met was through the bond of jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu,
right?
Yeah, the art
of jiu-jitsu. And I found that, you know, in jiu-jitsu, in the jiu-jitsu community, you know, it's a really tight-knit group of people. And generally speaking, it sounds ironic to people that just don't know about the sport or the martial art itself. But it's like some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And of course, it's very ego-dissolving in and of itself.
It is.
But it's I think, surprising to some people that maybe don't know about martial arts, that, you know, choking your friends, some of like the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Absolutely, man. It's humbling for sure. But I would even challenge you in saying that even within the jiu-jitsu community, like you still recognize certain people that you want to say, hey, you know what? It'd be cool to get to know that guy.
Yeah.
You're definitely one of those guys, right? And so we saw each other on other people's platforms, and we said, all right, dude, he's doing something. You know, I know I'm doing something. So there's got to be a way for us to connect so that we can collaborate or at least put our minds together within the art of jiu-jitsu so that we can take our business lives and relationships to the next level.
Yeah, man. And I, you know, follow you on Instagram, and you're always doing a whole bunch of crazy shit, right? You're touring around and talking to people, and you know, you're launching all kinds of different stuff. And you know, what sort of makes you tick? Like you know, what keeps you, when you wake up in the morning and you realize that you're in your 40s now, even though you look like you're 28, you know, like what really just makes you get out of bed and start running?
Yeah, you know, that's crazy, Nick. I know that you mentioned that you had a couple of down moments this past year, right? And I would say this is that people always assume that because you have so much content out there that you're killing it in life. That's the perception. But what I found is that like the key moments, just when you're really going through some tough times, and it helps you to identify what's the most important thing in your life, right? So for me, it's my family and relationships, right? So just most recently, I went through a time where I'm like, man, I'm not really clear on what it is that my purpose is. And up until that point, I was like, it's all about crushing it in life and entrepreneurship and being all over the place and doing this and this and that. Until I realized that, man, all I want to do is help my family. I need to create this type of wealth. And when I say wealth, I'm not talking about just numbers, but in terms of having the ability to decide who, what, when, where, why, and how on my terms. Because I know that you come from a background where you weren't affirmed very much. Right. And through me, in my family, is that my family broke up due to a lack of money. And so I realized that, man, all I want to do now is just bring my family back together, to no longer have them experience what it's like to have limitations. Much of that is, which is like self-imposed, right? And so why I wake up every single day and do what I do relentlessly is because I want to create that type of freedom for those I truly say I love most. And that gets me out of bed, and I get to put purpose in what I do. So a lot of people are searching for like, well, I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my purpose is. Well, put passion into what you do and you'll figure it out.
Right. That's beautiful. You know, I don't have much of a family in numbers, you know, and the close members of my family that I do have, I keep them very tight. So, you know, that certainly resonates for me. And, you know, when I think about 10 or 15 or 20 years in the future, I feel like that is one of those elements that I haven't had to take into consideration in my life yet. But, you know, it's good to hear you talk about it, because it's like, oh, that is how I should see my own personal future. It's at some level, right? It's like, that's what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's like, what do you live for every single day? For me, it's like to liberate my parents. You know, my dad promised me at the age of 10 when he moved to Japan, like, I'll be back in 1 year because I'm tripling my salary, right? And at the time, his question was, I either move to Japan or we move to Compton. And we're like, Compton? I ain't moved no Compton.
Especially not in the mid-90s.
Nah, right? And so we're like, all right, Dad, you're moving. But, you know, I was 10 and he promised me, if you're 10 and your dad is your superhero, he's like, all right, son, I love you. I'll be back in 1 year. And you're so excited when that 1 year comes around. And when he comes, says, sorry, son, I got to go back for 1 more year. I'm 41. My dad is still in Japan.
Wow.
So that's been a driving force to see my mom all alone, raising myself and my sister all throughout the tough years of teenagehood, young adulthood, and seeing my dad still in Japan, still like just struggling just to make it, man. It gives me that driving force that I am here to serve my family, to create wealth for them and for those, my friends, my loved ones. But here's the key. The key is, how do you earn that money, right? And so in my recent talk, when I was on the Think and Grow Rich tour, you know, I threw my presentation to the side and I really wanted to talk to people about what money is, right? So Nick, like, we're in a place where we're in entrepreneurship and everyone is like, okay, you got to go make money. But the semantics alone and what I'm about to share right now could change the relationship to money for good. And if we can understand this, then I feel like we are all in a better position to create this financial freedom that we're talking about. Because as a coach, as a transformation specialist, the two things that I found in my research, through my personal experience, is that people really only want two things in life. One is wealth, and another one is a peace of mind. But typically, you can't really have a peace of mind until you have wealth, right?
Right.
And so it's like, the question is, then what is money? Because we always say we want to make money, but what is money? And if I were to ask you, if I were to ask someone else, and if I were to ask my mom, and then your friend, and then Henner and Hedon, they're all going to say different things. They're going to say, oh, money is a vehicle. You're going to say, what's your answer, Nick?
Benjamins.
Money is Benjamins. People say money is an exchange of currency. Some people say money is energy. Right? So if we're all unclear on what money is and how do we expect to have more of it, right? And so my mentor one time was like, yo, Cary, how much you want to make? And I was like, I want to make $1 million a year. This is like, you know, several years back, right? And he's like, well, what is money? I'm like, what do you mean, what is money? Dude, money's money. And he goes, well, tell me what it is then. And then I started explaining 6 to 7 things of what I thought money was. So he's like, see, you're not crystal clear on what money is. And so if you're not crystal clear, how do you expect to have more of it? And he's like, here it is, man. Like, there are only 2 people in this world who make money. It's the government, and then they're crooks, right? Who make counterfeit money. So Nick, you and I, we don't make money. We have money. And it's just like, okay, that makes sense. All right, let's keep going. So now the semantics, once you understand what money is an idea that's backed by confidence, because we can honestly argue that at one point in life, there was no such thing as money. Like, we had exchange goods, right? Like, I had to exchange my bananas for your cotton so that we can survive and go about our days. And so money is an idea backed by confidence. And what I've learned, Nick, dude, is really like the more people you serve, the more problems that you solve for others, whether directly or indirectly, and the more value that you add in your marketplace, the more money you'll have. You know what I mean? Right. And once I understood that, man, everything just started clicking. Clarity. Your decisions become easier because we're all in a space of entrepreneurship and personal branding. And so because of that, we attend all these conferences and workshops. We buy people's courses, and then our own ethos gets mixed up. We start to get lost. And once you lose that clarity, then everything becomes freaking difficult.
Yeah, I think one of those things about that you touched on is it's super easy to just get lost in the woods. Like if you don't have sort of your own North Star, you don't, for me, I just kind of beat to my own drum. I dance to my own drum, beat to my own drum, whatever the fucking saying is. God damn it.
I understood.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I've never had a mentor. I don't necessarily look to others for how I should live my own life, but I know also that that's a very edge case scenario. Like I know that that's not a common thing. And at least what I see in the people that I interact with is they get so many inputs from so many different places, right? And then they do sort of lose that clarity, lose track, that you can listen to 1,000 people on YouTube telling you a million different ways to make money or have money or whatever. It's like, oh, you can do affiliate marketing. Oh no, that's evil. You should do this or do that, or, and I think that sometimes just that mental angst is what sort of freezes people in place and stops them from going forward and doing something that is meaningful or that sort of has intrinsic good built into it in their daily activities.
No doubt, man. I think it's just that this is where, as cheesy as it sounds, like your self-awareness game has to be top notch, man, because we are in the most noisiest freaking community and generation that this world has ever seen. Right. And so when people say, oh, you got to be you, be authentic, I mean, that can get so played out these days. It depends on who says it too. Right. Yeah. But I mean, that's so true, man. That self-awareness and that happiness game, like putting purpose in your life rather than, well, what's my purpose? You got to go find my purpose. So I got to listen to Gary Vee 10 more times, Yeah. Dude, just freaking like put purpose in what you do and you'll eventually find it, dude.
That's one of the things too, is where, you hear people say like, follow your passion, and that's not terrible advice, right? That's not terrible advice, but also like maybe that's, you can't do that right now. Like maybe that's, impossible to do right now, or you can do it in a very small way while you're also doing something else that sort of pays the bills. And like you said, I think finding passion or purpose in the thing that you are doing is so important. Like no matter what you're doing, right? I mean, my grandpa was a janitor, you know what I mean? And like he found purpose in that. And that purpose is what make people happy. It's not necessarily if you're a janitor or an entrepreneur or a radio host or a whatever it is, right? It's like, do you have purpose in that thing? And it's going to vary from person to person. And like you said, you really have to ask yourself, like, what type of purpose can I find in what I'm doing? Otherwise, you're just never going to be happy. You're just going to be chasing the tail.
Dude, most definitely, man. And here's what you reminded me of. There's this, I forgot for which NFL team. Oh, no. It was for that Philly Fanatic guy. That mascot for the Phillies?
Is that the bird?
He's like a green, I don't even know what he is. Yeah, he's like this fluffy green animal that no one knows what type of animal or freaking alien it is.
It's a chupacabra.
So talk about that for a second, man. Talk about purpose and passion, okay? Those are two different things, by the way. So purpose is like this mascot for the Phillies, for the Philadelphia Phillies. This green, fluffy, weird-looking creature was the mascot for like 20 years or something like that, right? Imagine, dude, like you're a mascot wearing a costume in front of a stadium of 60, 70,000 people, and that's your career, right? But now he put his purpose into his work. And so now off of that, he created a mascot college, dude. A mascot college where mascot aspirational people, I don't even know what you call those, right?
Yeah.
Go attend these mascot colleges. It's like like circus college or something like that. And now he has awards and he's like a legend within the mascot industry.
Wow.
Right? So imagine like he makes a great living. He's a legend in his industry. And he's providing a platform for people to master their craft. right? Now, if you were telling me, oh, he's a mascot, you would kind of like be like, that dude's a mascot, dude, right? But imagine his purpose and the type of impact that he's made. And because of that, because he's added so much value, he's provided, solved problems, for all the mascot aspiring people, right? That he makes a freaking great living doing that. And he's living in his purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's one of those things too. And what's beautiful about that, to me at least, is like, you have these certain sorts of jobs that are generally looked down upon more than others, right? It's janitor, it's mascot, it's garbage man, it's, all this different stuff. And I feel like the power and the beauty in that is sort of saying, oh, yeah, well, you can make fun of me for being a mascot all you want. Check this out.
Check. Yep.
Yeah. And then you launch a giant course teaching everybody how to be mascots and like start killing it, and you own it. You own what that is, and you sort of thwart those perceptions. And there's tens of thousands of people that have jobs like that, and they shouldn't feel bad about what they're doing. Like it's very strange where you sort of allow, and it's up to the individual, right? Like in Stoicism, it's up to you to allow or disallow people's thoughts from influencing who you think you are.
No, most definitely.
And that guy just said, "Fuck yourself."
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and he's counting checks every single month.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Inducting people into the Mascot Hall of Fame. I'm telling you, he has a Mascot Hall of Fame.
Really?
See, you and I are such weird people.
Awesome.
I look into stuff like this.
That's
See,
awesome.
I research this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you talked about passion too, right, Nick? And I think that people are taking that word passion way too lightly. Like, you want to know who lived out his passion? Was a real American gangster, John Brown. And so he was an abolitionist, a white dude, an abolitionist from the 1850s when the slavery was going on. And he was a white American dude who was an abolitionist who hated pacifism. So meaning that he would clown on people who march and say anti-slavery. And he's like, F that, dude. I'm going to go get some guns. I'm going to arm all my 5 sons, and we're going to go in and shoot these freaking slave owners to send them a message, right? So passion is like, people are like, oh, I'm so passionate about LeBron and the Lakers. Dude, passion means, are you willing to suffer and die for your message, dude? Right? And I'm not a religious dude, but passion of the Christ, like, look at that. He freaking died for his message. So I want you guys, whoever's listening to say, oh, what's my passion? Passion is something that you're willing to freaking die for, dude.
Yeah, it's that level of commitment, right?
It is.
It's easy to say, oh, yeah, I'm really passionate about watching the NFL. Or like you said, like LeBron or whatever. It's like, are you?
Yeah.
Are you, though? Are you actually committed to that? Or when LeBron goes and plays for the Clippers or the Orlando Magic or some shit, you're like, fuck that guy. He's such a god,
Exactly.
Because
dude.
you're not actually committed.
Hell
you're not
no.
actually passionate. Like, commitment is a very strong indicator of if you're actually passionate about something.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. So this dude John Brown, he freaking fought against slave owners, against his own peeps, against white people, right? And he went in and went after this Potawatomi massacre stuff. His freaking sons were murdered in the case, and he got hung to death.
Wow.
Right? And so that he can stand for freaking freedom. And so half Americans were like, this dude's an American terrorist, whereas the other half were like, wow, this is like the beginning of freedom for Americans, for Black Americans.
Right.
That to me is passion, man. Like, that really redefines it. Am I really passionate about what I say I am? Calls you out.
Yeah, and that's, some parallel to be drawn with sort of the U.S. military and the enlisted men, right? Like, when you're, we have an all-volunteer army in this country. You're not mandated to take military service. And, in this country, there is a very good likelihood you're getting deployed to a war zone, and, the chance of death goes up pretty high. and that going into it, and you sign up and you're like, I want to be a Marine, or whatever branch you're going into. And that alone carries with it so many crazy negative externalities, but sort of the passion for what they believe in, the passion for freedom and protecting their country and everything else supersedes that. They're willing to take that commitment to the next level and risk dying. And there's a lot of members of my family that were in the U.S. military, and it's my great uncle died in Vietnam. When he was 17.
Jeez.
He told my grandma that came over from Northern Europe. he's like, I really want to go into the Navy. And she's like, obviously no. Because when you're 17, you can't just join the Army, the Navy or any branch of the military. You have to get your parents' permission because you're a minor. And so he convinced her to sign the paperwork. Crap. And, it was like 3 months later, he was gone.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a child, man.
It's a child.
Self-conscious, not even fully developed, you know what I mean?
17. That's young.
Well, much love and respect to him, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Damn.
Right.
So as I'm looking at this amazing sign, Nick, what's the Nick Ingersöll show about?
Dude, it's just about chatting with cool and interesting people, man. I wanted it to be sort of an open forum. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. I've been listening to podcasts since 2011. I was a pretty early adopter, and especially when my dad passed away in 2013, podcasts were very cathartic for me. It was one of those things where I've just derived so much value from a variety of different podcasts. And I just feel like I need to sort of contribute into that cultural ecosphere in some meaningful way and, replenish the karmatic value I have extracted and put some back in there. So that's essentially what the purpose of it is, and really just having cool people on to chat about whatever I want or they want or whatever it is. It's a super open forum, and just chatting about shit.
Man, sure, man. It's beautiful though, man. I've seen even just within the last 2-3 years how much you've progressed, and seeing you going on all these nice freaking European vacations. Bro,
vacations.
Okay, whatever you call it, man. It looked nice, bro. So it's just like, no, but when you went to Spain and you're on that yacht, what do you call that though?
That was actually a vacation.
Okay. So I wasn't wrong.
You were absolutely not wrong about that.
See? So I do my research, bro. Right? I'm a Nick Ingersöll fan. I'm an admirer of this dude. He's also my peer mentor, but we're also damn good friends, man. So Nick, dude, I'm freaking like, I'm loving your life, man.
Yeah. Well, likewise, it's cool to have friends that are also doing really cool shit, because it also keeps you inspired. I think that having that growth mindset of seeing your friends do well and being inspired with what they're doing. Like, when we first met and I did your podcast 3 years ago or so, and you had this fucking drone, bro. And you're like, yeah, ride the motorcycle. There's a drone following me, like all this crazy shit.
4 dudes.
Yeah.
On my team.
You got a squad with you, dude. I was just like, dude, Cary fucking doing some crazy shit. Like, that was awesome. That absolutely was inspiring to watch, and every day just getting inspired by your friends. And I think some people, they get stuck in the cycle of when their friends are doing well, they feel like they need to tear them back down. And if you have anybody in your life like that, you need to chop them off. Chop them off the friendship team, because there's just so much white space to be inspired. Like, it's going to make you better if you just change the way you perceive those types of things.
Yeah, and it's hard too, especially when you have a heart, right?
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing to just be, all right, you're done. Yeah. And I think the biggest the bifurcation occurs when you just have to be a person who makes decisions, dude.
Yeah.
It's all the biggest issue for people. I see it. It's just like, okay, one more chance for this person.
Yeah. Just maybe they'll change.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll change this year.
Right. By 2020, I'll give them another. You know what? Because I'm such a loyal person.
Yeah.
I see the good in everybody. I'm calling myself out. That was me.
Right.
And that was my biggest problem.
There's a lot of people, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's easy to do too. Like, maybe it's your family members, maybe it's some of your childhood friends, maybe it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a whatever, Like, I would imagine that the majority of people have done that at least at the bare minimum in relationships, right? The ones that didn't continue to be relationships, of course, but it's like, oh yeah, things are kind of going whatever, but they're going to change. I can change that person. I can change the situation. And the reality is that's pretty rare.
Yeah. They say your friends will support you all the way up until you succeed, right?
Yeah.
As long as you don't succeed.
Yeah.
They'll support you as long as you don't succeed.
There's a lot of that going on.
I mean, I see it in I see it like complete change, even within the way the social media engagement has surfaced. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
So what's your mindset? Then maybe you could coach me on that too, because I have a hard time with that. Just to see, wow, it's changed and it's shifted. I'm starting to see engagement and support from a certain type of people. And I'm always going to focus on that because there's no time wasting dwelling on, the negativity. But just what crosses your mind, and how do you break free from that?
Break free from sort of the negative infiltration of engagement along with everybody that likes what you're doing, that kind of thing?
No, just how do you, no, because obviously we're going to continue to go off of the positivity, but what's your mindset when you feel, because you could feel stuff through the internet. You could feel stuff through your Instagram and your Facebook, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I just want to know, like, maybe you could coach me. I could learn something from you, like how you proceed.
Yeah, man. I think that, and of course, I've been on social media for so long, and, all the way back into MySpace and buddypick.com. Shout out to buddypick.com. It's still on the internet somehow. Wow. It was like a forum site, like before there was actual social media. But you had a profile. It was the craziest thing. But anyway, for me, and you do get a fair amount of hate no matter what you do, right? And actually, the bigger and better you do things in life in general, you will get proportionally more negative comments and activity than you will positive, right? Like, and it's also really easy for people to just focus on the negative stuff. And there's a couple different ways to deal with it. The way that I like to deal with it, one is, if you're in person, and the types of neighborhoods that I grew up in and lived in for a long time, like if I saw you, I'm like, hey, nice shoes. I like those shoes. Look like they're my size. Give me your shoes. That's where the conversation goes. And so the way you stop that is you have to be really fucking aggressive back, right? But online, it doesn't work because there is no physical altercation alternative. Like that is not an option when you're just dealing with people online. So usually what I do is I just I go the complete opposite route. Like if someone is like trying to be negative at all, I just give them like almost like I'm in a romantic relationship with them.
Nice. Like
extreme love. Like extreme love, like so it almost makes them feel awkward.
Like awkward, yeah. Give me an example.
Like if somebody says you're a shit eating whatever the fuck, right? And she'll be like, you know what? I just am so thankful that you're in my life. I love you so much for your comments. Keep them coming.
I like that, dude. Yeah. Yeah. But they catch the sarcasm in that, or are they like more like, what the hell?
No, I would love it if they would. And then, they comment again. I'm like, honestly, like much love. Like, I love you like I love all of humanity.
Man,
like,
that's
keep
big.
doing your, and it's like, that's all you can really do sometimes. And I do feel like you have to curate what you see online and not compare yourself to where other people are,
Yeah.
And like you said too, right? Like you only see the good shit. Ain't nobody posting about all the bad shit that's happening throughout the year.
Yeah.
Or if they do, maybe it's real, or maybe it's also an attention getting strategy.
To cry for help, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. What kind of things do you see right now in sort of that social media ecosphere and where that is all going?
I haven't seen too much. I think it's just a lot of them are, they have a place to just strut their stuff and appear to be strong, right? But honestly, I don't pay. I used to be very like self-critical when I would hear and see things like that. But man, I've learned so much just from all the amazing people are just crushing it out there, and they actually have fun with it, man. And one of the things for me is just like saying no more.
Yeah.
Because I would always just say yes. Or people say, hey, can you do this? Yes. Right. Hey, can you help a brother out? I'm kind of hurting financially. Yes. Right. But this past weekend, I was watching this man named Dan Fleischman speak. He's like this the youngest publicly traded company founder or something like that. Brilliant dude, but he said, the quickest way to say no to people is to say yes, because 95% of people don't even follow through.
Interesting.
And I was like, wow, that's really good. That's really good, man.
Meaning if somebody asks you for a favor and you just say yes and they just forget.
Yeah, or someone in your position, they'll be like, they always want to collaborate or pitch you on something, right? And you just say, okay, yeah, send it.
Yep.
95% probably even won't, right?
Yeah,
or if they do,
true.
it puts you in a position where like, oh, we're not interested in this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point, actually, because so long as you say yes to something, you always have the option to say no.
That's good.
I mean, you always have the option to say no.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh yeah, door is open, right? Walk in. All right, you got to leave. Kick them out, shut the door.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Dude, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So would you say that the biggest way to help you stay inspired is just by watching your peers, or do you have like things that not too many people think of that allow you to get to that space?
Yeah, I think for me, man, it's like, it's a strange thing that I've always had in me is to just create new and different shit all the time. Like that's just kind of what keeps, I just enjoy it. Like I thoroughly enjoy it. Like you may thoroughly enjoy watching baseball or, totally. Whatever the fuck you do, But for me, it's like, I really love doing one of two things, generally speaking. It's, and maybe it's a tertiary one in there, but it's learning new skills, constant and consistent skill acquisition, languages, computer languages, like designing new and different shit. Just trying to like sharpen a skill or learn a new skill, and then also just creating something out of nothing. Sort of thinking of something in my brain, and then making that happen in physical reality. Yeah. That's one thing that I just love to do, and so it's just like this internal motivation that never really goes away. Yeah. And I think that the third thing that is maybe a subsection of both of those is doing hard stuff, right? Like just doing hard shit is also really rewarding, like, hey, I'm just going to go into the forest for a week to a place I've never been and hope I don't get eaten by a bear. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'll bring the pistol or the bear spray and like, I know what I'm doing out there, but like,
or like 10 hyenas at once.
10 hyenas at once. You go do that, or, it's like, if you've never done jujitsu, like go take a jujitsu class. It is going to be so hard and miserable the first time you get on that mat. It is just going to, destroy any semblance of ego that you think you have, right?
Right.
And so it's just like doing hard stuff is so rewarding so long as you can see it through. And I think that when people see something that is hard, they want to take the path of least resistance instead. But long term, that doesn't give you the same sort of reward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you do that, though, you go into that with a proper mindset. Like when you say, well, go and do some hard shit, right? Someone listening like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, but they don't have the capacity to think further what they're trying to get out of it in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
How would you walk them through that? So we say the end in mind, have an end in mind as to why you're doing this hard. What does it mean to you? What are you going to focus on? Like, how does that look like?
Yeah, I think that some of it is just prove to yourself that you can do it. You don't have to prove to anybody else. You're accountable to no one but yourself. You're not accountable to your God. You're not accountable to your mom. You're not accountable to your friends or anybody else. You're accountable to yourself and yourself only. And if you can prove to yourself that you can get through something hard, you will feel that reward. Like as soon as you prioritize your perception of who you are, then when you complete something really hard, it's like, fuck yeah, I did that shit. Yep. Like even the other day, I was on my motorcycle and I knew it was going to rain. I didn't even know how bad it was going to rain, but I'm like, whatever, I'll roll the dice. So I'm on the freeway in the rain on my motorcycle. Not the best thing to do, especially in Los Angeles. And it's kind of like drizzling. And I'm like, yeah, I like the challenge of me being able to do this right now. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm like, you damn right I can do that, right? And then a downpour happened. Massive winds, 50 mile an hour gusts, downpour of rain. And the same thought went through my head, be safe, but I'm just going to get through it. Like I'm just going to persevere and do it. And then once I got off the bike and got dry, I was like, yeah, that's right. I can do that shit.
How do you have to readjust when it rains? I mean, you're talking about less visibility for other cars to see you or hear you.
Yeah.
You have to, I'm assuming you got to like crouch low or at least have more of like a balance awareness, right? With that, like
balance.
There's hydroplaning. How does that work, man?
Bro, it's sketchy. You got to reduce your speed, increase your following distance from the nearest vehicle in front of you, get in the slower lane. Don't switch lanes a lot. Don't lean a bunch because the hydroplaning, you'll fall on your ass. And then, when the rain is just smashing you in the face in the helmet, you don't really see much because you don't have windshield wipers on your on your mask. Yeah.
Dude, see, that's another crazy story. is that you've already been in 2 motorcycle accidents. And every time I see that, I'm like, see, that's why I never freaking touch bikes, bro.
Yeah.
And I asked you, so are you done with bikes? And you're like, hell no. Right? So that's another level of not only like commitment, that's another freaking paradigm shift that you have to be having. Like, what are you addicted to the freaking rush, or is it is it just another challenge? Do you not see that you're blessed to freaking be alive? Like, what is it, man? I don't understand. Right? Help me understand, bro.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, it's definitely not the adrenaline rush, because I ride a motorcycle every day. So for me, the adrenaline piece of it is it's gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do enjoy it. It is enjoyable to do. But it's also like, I'm just not going to let any outside forces influence what makes me do anything or makes me happy,
Yeah.
And if that thing is death, so be it. If that thing is whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, I think that I'll be fine. Like, I generally have a pretty optimistic outlook on things, generally speaking, and also myself and, my daily existence, where I'm going. And so I feel like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to die in a motorcycle accident. I'm just not going to. Even though evidence from the past would point towards the opposite. But it is true. Like, after the second one, it was a little bit scarier. The first one, I got knocked unconscious. I went head first into a vehicle, T-bone style, and my head was legitimately fucked up for a long period of time. Some real bad concussion situations. And then fortunately on the second one, I didn't hit my head that hard, but I did have a fractured L1 vertebrae, and I had some pulmonary edema, right? And if you have a blood clot in your lungs, it goes straight to your heart and you're dead and all that shit. And, the look on the doctor's faces when I was in the ER, they were very concerned.
Jeez, man.
So in that sense, yeah, that one was a little more scary, I think, than the previous one. But again, I feel like I'm just going to be fine.
Dude, I feel it, man. And I think it's very genuine, dude. And you said it, man. At the end of the day, you said it, man. Like, it makes me happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so whether it's a motorcycle accident, whether we get hit by a vending machine and we die, right? Dude, here's the thing, man. Like, I will never forget this moment. Oh, so speaking of vending machine, you know why I say that?
Why is that?
You know why I say that? Is because people freaking go for the lotto, right? So Nick, I think I remember this. How much would you say people spend, Americans, okay, buying lottery tickets? Would you say it's 73 million, 730 million, or $7.3 billion?
Per year?
Yeah.
In
Americans.
aggregate? I would say it's in the billions.
So 7.3 billion?
Yeah.
70.3 billion. So the point I said is you have a 1 in 300 million chance of hitting the lotto. And I think being killed by a vending machine was like 1 out of like 200 million or something. So you have a better opportunity of getting killed by a vending machine than hitting the lotto, bro.
Look, no disrespect to anybody's loved ones who's been murdered by a vending machine.
Right.
But how does that happen?
Dude,
how does that happen?
I don't understand, man. But those are real statistics that I recently researched and heard.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I've researched weird stuff, but it goes for good content though, man.
It does. One of those things that I was researching is shark attacks, because I think sharks are fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, but your chances of getting killed by a shark are like 1 in fucking some like giant number.
Yeah.
But also, how many people are in the water?
Yeah, dude.
Like,
and how often do we hear about it? Every year we hear about it, right? That's just one too many damn times a year.
That statistic is assuming all these motherfuckers that are not in the water.
Exactly.
So if everybody lived in the water, then what kind of odds are we talking about?
We're talking...
Dude, 1 in 50,000 maybe?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That's a trip. That's one thing I'm afraid of, man. I can't even see my legs. I don't know what's floating under there, dude, right?
Dude, it's just it's a prehistoric fucking dinosaur with like 1 million teeth in its mouth.
Yep.
So scary.
Yeah, it is.
Like, grizzly bears are scary. Okay. Right?
Grizzly bear, that's another thing, dude.
But sharks are just mindless killing machines.
Yeah.
Marauding.
Yeah.
fucking killing machines.
And imagine that feeling. It just takes you down into the water after that. God, no thanks.
Humans are just so weak, dude.
Right.
We're just so, like, our skin tears easy. You know, like a chimp, quarter of our size, could just pick you up, throw a 300-pound man, no problem.
Yep. Have you seen those bald chimps?
Oh yeah, the ones with mange.
Yeah. Oh my God, those guys are like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'll rip our freaking neck off.
Straight up.
Like us peeling a banana.
Yeah. Peeling the skin off of your head.
Yeah, dude. Exactly.
It's true. Yeah, there was I went to this it's like this animal sanctuary now, but it was all these animals that used to be in movies and stuff. And so they're all highly trained for the most part. You know, they played the parts in like Dr. Dolittle or whatever. And there was, we're walking around. There's lions, right? There's this gigantic tiger. There's bears of all kinds. There's a Eurasian bear. There's a brown bear. There's a black bear. There's like all these different crazy animals. There's like a bear cat and like tiny little monkeys. And this lion was just pacing. Like he was crouched down watching us walk by. And the guy points over, he goes, "You see that line over there? He's stalking you.
Oh my God.
He wants to eat you." I'm like, "Oh shit, bro." And so we keep walking, and then we get to this other cage. He goes, "As scary as the lion was, these are the most dangerous animals here." And it's a cage of 4 chimps.
Oh my gosh.
And
they got fangs, dude.
Bro, they are like, big as fuck. And they're all against the cage, super duper smart. So they're up against the cage, looking at us, waving to us, and like doing the stuff and like playing with the barrel. And he goes, "You cannot get within 10 feet of this cage because they will lure you in, grab your arm, and rip your fucking arm off."
Oh my gosh.
And so as soon as he says that, I'm watching the gorillas, or the chimps in the cage rather, and this one's just kind of looking at me, and it's an older one, right? He's got like its chin on its hand, and just kind of looking at me, and so I'm kind of waving at it, right? And it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is the weirdest interaction I've ever had with any other animal. And then it looks down, grabs an apple, and rolls it under the cage right to me.
Baiting
me in. So then I grab the apple, I'm looking at the apple, and no one else sees this. So I'm looking over at the dude, and he's talking to everybody else. I'm like, nobody else seeing this shit right now? I'm like, hey man, Chimp just threw me an apple. What should I do? It's like, yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, she probably wants to play or lure you in and eat you genitals first.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Try to get by that European freaking kielbasa sausage.
Straight up, bro. Yeah. Trying to get some of that sashimi.
That's insane. But dude, they are fierce.
Yeah, what was your experience been with sort of the media world? And you had a team. You do a lot of stuff on your solo too.
Yeah.
In various different formats, right? Video, audio, speaking, everything. Blog, like all this stuff. What's that experience been like for you? And if someone's thinking about doing something like that, like what are the couple pieces of advice you'd give them on how to start and keep going with it?
I recently, how you talked about how you want to learn new tricks and do that. I recently really got into editing myself. And so talking about, I had a big team, well, not big, I had 5, right? I had 2 photographers, I had a video guy, a social media guy, and we went around, filmed and captured footage and curated content of fine, amazing individuals like Nick, right? As well as other, say, athletes and entrepreneurs. And I really wanted to be like the new Vice, or like the VaynerMedia for my industry, which is fitness and personal development. So those are the 2 things that keep me inspired every single day: is personal development, like learning something, and researching weird stuff that I can apply towards my own growth and what I could share with my audience, and fitness and jujitsu, right? That's been the bread and butter. So how can you, all right, master your craft and in the process add value to other people? And so obviously more people are more comfortable in front of the camera, or say audio. I'm not a writer, even though I wrote a book. I'm not a writer, but if writing is your thing, then go deep. Because do you know who Evan Carmichael is? He's the top 10 on YouTube. Search anything top 10, that's his channel. And so that's another thing, right? So all he did was create top 10s and curated all the best content from, say, Tony Robbins. And the next would be Nick Ingersöll. The next would be Damon John. The next would be freaking Robert Kiyosaki, whatever, right? And he created his own platform where now he has like 2 million subscribers, makes a full-time living, speaks on everyone's platform while does his own. He has his own workshop and masterminds. And so focus on what you're good at, become an expert at it, create content. And my next post on social media is going to be, is it too late? That's what everyone's asking. Is it too late? Nick, is it too late to start a podcast right now? There's no saturation at the top.
That's right.
If you see, it's always Gary V, the freaking all the same names, because there's no saturation at the top. There's only a few people who are killing it. And dude, eagles don't fly with seagulls, right? All the saturation is at the freaking bottom, dude.
Yeah. So
as long as you're out there creating content, and it's going to suck in the beginning, right? But you could always delete your stuff, right? Man, like when I first started, it was so bad, dude. I mean, there's still some stuff that I post today that's still kind of cringeworthy, right? Of
course.
But the public perception is like, wow, Cary, you're out there killing it. Well, I've been doing it myself, and now you're on a solo mission yourself too. Luckily, we're in a position where we can now bounce off of each other. I could be like, Nick, dude, I got this other guy, Brian McD. Mellon, you should have him on your podcast, dude. He's a freaking solid entrepreneur with a huge leveraged out platform for himself, and we're only going to connect. So the more you get out there, the more connections you're going to have, the more valuable assets that you're going to be able to allocate towards every platform that you decide to go on, and so again, there's no such thing as saturation when you're at the top. Yeah. And how do you get to the top? You just got to keep working.
There's not that much saturation at the top.
There's no saturation at the top.
It's a very interesting concept, isn't it?
It is.
It's a very interesting concept. And even in sort of the decentralized versions especially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you think about your top podcasts or your top YouTube channels or your top whatevers. There's really not that much saturation at the cream.
No, there isn't.
Right? Like when you fill up like a glass of something and there's cream at the top, there's a very little cream relative to the liquid below once it settles,
That's a great analogy, man.
Like that cream is not, there's not that much of it. That is, the cream is that outer layer of Joe Rogan's podcast or a handful of NPR ones or Ferris's or whatever. And then below that is where everything is saturated. That's where all of the volume is.
And all the volume, those are the ones who do it for a few months and they quit and they come back to do it again, to come back. Oh, they switch, they pivoted, so now they have new content.
Yeah.
It's all those people, but the ones who are at the top, the ones that I used to see 4, 5, 6, even our friends who started YouTube channels 6, 7 years ago, all of them are at the top right now, man. My personal friends are all at the top because they kept doing it, dude. Yeah. They never veered from their vision. Now you take back, a few steps back here and there, small hiatus here and there. You go through your own shit, right? You go through some cloudy times in life. You get right back up and you still hone in on your expertise, especially if your message is for an underserved audience. You will quickly become the expert in that field, man.
Yeah, it's consistency, right? I feel like some people, they don't give, whatever they're trying, they don't give it enough time, oftentimes. If you go into it with the mind and people say, well, what's the goal with the podcast? Like, what is the goal? And I'm like, the goal is to talk to cool and interesting people.
Yeah.
Because I like to do it. That's the goal. That's the goal. The only goal. And so if that translates into getting a lot of subscribers or reviews or sponsors or whatever, great. But I've already accomplished my goal. I'm accomplishing my goal right now.
That's exactly it.
And since that's the goal, like, I'm going to be consistent because I just genuinely like to do it.
And that makes you happy.
That's right.
And here's the thing, as entrepreneurs, as personal brands, as people who are getting after their shit, that should be your number one impetus. Is it making you happy?
Yeah.
Right? You know what, dude, Nick, the last few years have been all these loud social media influencers who have completely numbed that out, my happiness. It was all about freaking work your face off. You gotta freaking like hustle and grind and no sleep. Like sleep is bullshit, right? And it's like, dude, have you noticed the people who said all that are now coming back and saying, no, you got to align with your purpose, self-awareness, happiness. They're all coming back to that.
Yeah.
Dude, I see it, and I wouldn't drop any names.
It's true.
But off this, we'll drop those names. But
I've seen a few myself.
exactly. So now it all comes down to, it's no longer about the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit is happiness.
That's right. The pursuit is happiness. Think about that.
And think about it, man. Like if you and I die right now, if a vending machine came from the second floor and crushed both of us, there would be no regrets because we were doing what we freaking love, dude.
That's right.
It's connecting with amazing people who fill our cups up every single day with freaking inspiration, with love, with motivation, with integrity, with ethics. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so there's this one dude. I was in New York at this private mastermind, right? Before this whole mastermind stuff came out of freaking everywhere. And the dude said, "Hey, listen, man, there's no such a thing as a bad way to die if you're living a damn good life. Like there's no such thing as a bad death if you live a good life."
Yeah.
And how do we measure a good life is like if we're truly happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
And there's variables and levels of happiness. But dude, when you feel that joy, dude, that's wealth.
You got to capture that shit like a Pokeball and just keep it with you.
Yes,
always.
Dude.
Because then you just open it up and deploy your fucking Mewtwo wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like when you ask people that are really old, and I had this friend named Bob, and I was fortunate enough to know him. He was born in 1922.
Wow.
And he died last year. And, I became a friend with him because I rented out a very small office from him, like on top of his house, when I first moved to LA when we couldn't afford a legitimate office. And, so I would take him to his doctor appointments a couple times a month and things like that, just help him out. And, so I saw him slowly deteriorate in his late 90s. But his brain was always very sharp. He was a very smart guy. He was in the military, he was a mechanical engineer, all these different things. And, he had just infinite amounts of advice for me. And he said two things that will probably forever stick with me. It's when you're young, take the risks and have fun and travel as much as humanly possible because it's harder to do the older you get.
Yeah.
And he also said, don't regret anything. And he said, all the people, he's like, look, all my family is dead. He didn't have any family left. All of his friends were dead. He outlived everyone. He outlived his wife by 20 years. And he said, all of the saddest part of watching any of those people go is that they had regretted not doing things. And like you're saying, like you got to enjoy the pursuit. The pursuit is happiness.
Yes.
And, if you don't feel like you're on the pursuit, you better get on one of some kind. Doesn't even matter what it is. And go into it with the goal of enjoying it. Like that's the goal. Yeah. The goal is not $1 billion. The goal is enjoying doing whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if you happen to make $1 billion, great. Yeah, that's what you're talking about with wealth and money and the differences between those. And I think it's a super important concept. I think people do tend to get wrapped up, and I think our culture in the U.S. at least is very focused on sort of being flashy and 22-inch rims and like making it rain and shit like that. But I don't know if that maps to long-term happiness.
No, not at all. Now, I would say this. I think it's safe for a guy like you and I to say, well, you know what? That is still pursuit. Because we get to add value, we get to improve the quality of the type of work that we do, and we get to go shopping for more things that are valuable for our family and the community that we serve. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the more money that we have and earn is more the quality that we could put back into our work, the type of stuff that we do, what we can create to add more value and to help people solve more of their problems. We get to add so much more to that with money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you put money in the hands of like a warmongering dictator, they're going to blow up the earth.
Yeah.
And if you put money in the hands of someone who's genuinely kind, they're going to do amazing things with those dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. It just amplifies your trueness, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's right.
But I do think though that because Nick, I come from such a background, like, dude, I have a ministry background, bro.
Yeah.
Both my grandparents were freaking ministries. I'm sorry, missionaries.
Oh, whoa. They're missionaries.
They're both world traveling missionaries.
Whoa.
So I say this now because I grew up saying, nah, dude, money's nothing. Money means nothing. I just want to freaking give and serve and live a meager life. And I realized that wasn't fulfilling my fullest potential.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so the last 5 to 7 years have really been about, you can serve your mission, you can live in your purpose, and why not try to become the wealthiest person that you can be so that you can add that much more value to your ecosystem.
That's right.
Not to get the freaking bling bling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not to get the bling, it's to get the freedom.
The freedom is the ability to decide who, what, when, where, why, and how on your terms.
That's right.
Who wouldn't want that, dude?
Right? You want the freedom to like go work out anytime you want?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Gotta have some cheddar in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Right. Zen's not gonna freaking help you help your family out with their funeral expenses.
Exactly right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right.
And Nick, dude, what hurts me the most, what's so painful to see now, is to see people in desperation starting GoFundMe accounts on Facebook because there's been a unforeseeable death or someone's going through some crap. You know what I mean? They have to start a GoFundMe. It puts everyone in a kind of like a awkward situation, right?
Yeah.
And I said, dude, freaking like that pains me to see that. And I want to be in a situation where I don't ever have to be in that situation, dude.
Yeah, man. I was in that situation. I didn't start a GoFundMe or anything because I could never do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would never allow myself to ask for help in that way. But when my dad passed away in my early 20s, and my brother was in his early 20s as well, like there were no dollars. He died penniless. He had $200 in a bank account and some guns that we had to sell to try and pay for some of the funeral expenses. But those things are expensive. There's no life insurance. There was nothing. And so I just took out a ton of credit card debt, over 10 grand in credit card debt just to pay for the basic funeral preparations. And that is definitely not something you want to find yourself in.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to avoid that kind of thing at all costs. And, and again, it's like life is short. So enjoy that shit. And I think in large part, the fitness thing, at least for me, is something that I really enjoy. Like it really, not just because, it makes you look better or makes you stronger or more fit or, more stamina, anything like that. Although it does all those things, it has this crazy effect on your brain. And you've personally trained a ton of different people. Like, do you see that transformation in those people that, they maybe weren't an athlete, they weren't working out, and then now that they've been through this program and you coaching them, has that transformed them in some meaningful way? That's
the number one breakthrough that I personally get the most joy from, is watching people see that mindset shift in their own self-belief and self-confidence. So becoming fit is just a byproduct now. To get compliments from people and say, man, so-and-so, dude, you look freaking good, dude. Right? Or you've shed some pounds and now you can move a lot better. That's just a byproduct. What I see the seismic shift is in for them to start believing themselves again. Because at the end of the day, you talked about this crazy, like it's internal, right? It's you experience a new level of self-confidence that people overlook. And so fitness, even like when people are going through depression, I say, dude, go work out. Or go do something that's going to like just instantly give you new insights to what's possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because self-confidence at the end of the day is what's going to drive you to do better in everything else. If you're confident, you're going to be a better husband, you're going to be a better dad, you're going to be a better instructor, you're going to be a better entrepreneur if you're confident, right? But if you're at a place where you have zero of that, you're not going to prevail in anything, dude.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And it's probably something that jiu-jitsu does too, in a lot of ways, right? It does instill the confidence in you.
And the self-worth.
And the self-worth that like you have mastered this craft. Oh, and also if it does come to a physical confrontation of some kind, or if there is one maybe about to happen, you're so confident in your abilities that oftentimes it will just completely diffuse, right? Because when someone's, barking like a dog and they're, and then Cary's standing there just like, yeah, man, relax. Everything's going to be okay. Usually it'll immediately diffuse the situation. And if someone attacks you, you also have the confidence that you can handle yourself in that environment. And I think that physical fitness and things like jiu-jitsu do install crazy confidence algorithms in your brain.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's phenomenal. It's astronomical for someone's personal growth, man. Absolutely. Right? There's a reason why, of all people, like if I were to ask you, Nick, and there's no right or wrong answers on this one, right? It's just my perspective on this, but who would you say is the greatest personal trainer or fitness mogul that you've seen in our time?
Ooh, loaded question. I like it.
Name a few. Drop maybe 2, 3 at the most names.
Okay, I would say probably the biggest one is scale. And granted, I don't follow a ton of them. I would go Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Makes sense. I would say in our modern times, Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't try to do it, it's like this crazy byproduct. And I would also say it is probably Elio Gracie.
Wow. See, those are some deep ass answers, right? And I would assume because Joe Rogan revolutionized fitness in a different way, where it's not. I mean, okay, so Arnold is of course Arnold, right? I mean, it's the best physical specimen that a human body can ever express. That type of form. It was art, he took bodybuilding to a whole new level, right? Elio Gracie brought a new art that is the art of. How would you explain that?
I would say it's the gentle art.
That's what I was trying to say.
And also it by virtue of him doing that, it also created the entire sport of mixed martial arts as we know it.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now those are fantastic, not only answers but a philosophy, right? I love that. And so my take is that people would say, oh well, Jillian Michaels or the guy who created P90X or Tai Bo, they'll mention like the obvious, but till this day, and people laugh at me for saying this, but the greatest personal trainer, fitness guru who's ever walked this freaking earth is Richard Simmons.
Woo, baby, Richard Simmons. You know why? Because he looked ridiculous. Yeah.
Right? He had fluffy hair. He almost wore like a singlet, right, on stage. But what did he do, man? He took the most morbidly obese people in the world, not in the world, in the United States. We have an epidemic. And he was able to turn their entire beliefs around. Because now it's easy to just be like, yeah, gym, man, freaking grind, fit fam, Quest bar, right? Bang energy drink and just freaking knock it out, right?
Welcome to the Bang Revolution.
Exactly. But you don't see a dude like Richard Simmons who has a heart for the people who have just completely lost every bit of confidence in their own belief, in their own worth, in their own existence in the world. These fat old women and men who just look like they have no place on a fitness platform to go on the world stage. If you look up Sweating to the 80s, dude, it's just Richard Simmons and like 30, 40 old freaking obese people just dancing and sweating and just revolutionizing their freaking mindset to be like, I believe in myself again.
That is awesome.
You know what I mean? And Richard was able to look these people in the eye and say, I believe in you. I have hope in you, and you should have hope for the future. And most people in that capacity would not be able to say like, dude, I'm going to go on TV right now and dance in front of the whole nation and get myself back into shape. Right.
That's
to
powerful.
Me. Yeah. And that's how I approach my clients. It's like, hey, listen, man, like you're going to get fit no matter what, right? You're going to get stronger. But man, would I love to see you walk out of that house feeling so damn proud of who you are and confident that you feel like you could conquer anything that you put your mind into. And to me, that's freaking breakthrough, man. That's transformation.
I just, I never knew that about the Richard Simmons thing. Like I don't know much about P90X or Tybo, or I know the names, of course, but I don't know that much. You know what I'm thinking? Jane Fonda.
Yeah,
Jane Fonda.
Yep.
Yeah, she's kind of one of those. But when you were talking, what you made me realize is that Richard Simmons, he was having people that traditionally weren't fitness people or whatever it is, and also putting them and incorporating them into the videos and everything else. Whereas I think when you look at the beach bodies and all that, it's people with pre-existing beach bodies.
Exactly.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Which is like
the before and after is like, dude, this dude's already fit. What are you talking about, man?
This dude's already shred city. Why is he fucking doing beach body? Have a cheeseburger for God's sakes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Now that I'm thinking back on seeing all of those infomercials at late night, all that stuff. Yeah, everybody's already shredded.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And it's like, yo, hey, I'm about to launch this program. Can you, would you be willing to do it? And then I'll help. They're already kind of like in a preemptive state. You know what I'm saying? Whereas these people are like, wait, what? Dude, I'm like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
You want me to what?
Look at that guy. Of course he can do that.
Yeah.
How am I going to do that?
Yeah. And so he took the most freaking, talk about Elio Gracie. That's what he was able to do. He took the freaking weakest people, right? He took, and he went against the biggest badasses in the world and freaking beat them.
Yeah.
And it's how do you take the people who are the most defeated, who have the furthest to go, to be able to freaking experience breakthroughs and move on and go to the next level in their business, life, and relationships, because that all comes down to your self-worth and your freaking self-confidence, dude.
Right.
People talk about faith, right? Faith is not, it doesn't originate from the faith of like religion. Faith is your belief in yourself. That's the origin of faith, dude.
Preach.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that for yourself, dude, everything else is meaningless, man.
It's true. What I often say is, if you don't believe in yourself, why would you expect someone else to?
Whew, right?
Why would you?
Yeah. And how you show up every single day, people feel that stuff, dude. Right? Yeah. So if you're not experiencing breakthroughs, you might want to reassess like how you're showing up to the world, dude.
Yeah.
That's self-awareness right there.
It is. And I think it's it's Rogan that says this all the time, but it's something along the lines of try to be the superhero of your own movie. Like if you're looking at your life like it's a movie, portray the superhero in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, would the superhero in my movie be doing this activity right now?
Yeah.
Nope. Cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Employ some discipline, right? And get back on the path. Yeah.
And to even like go off of what you just said, Nick, it's like if you had a movie about yourself, would you even watch it?
Right.
Like would that be too boring?
Yeah.
Right. And if you can't watch your own movie, how the hell do you expect other people to watch your movie? You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to live an epic life. And that's why you're in my life, because you're going to help me with that, dude. Because you're a freaking man of epic movies, bro.
Likewise.
No, thank you, man.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Well, dude, I couldn't think of a better way to wrap this shit up. That was fucking great.
Right?
Yeah, man.
So, Nick, I'm telling you right now that at least, and I get to share this too, but I'm going to be, with all the stuff that I'm doing, I really want to minimize. I do everything to minimize, right? And so I'm making investments and going on tour and this so that I can really simplify my life into a point where all I'm doing, Nick, is connecting people like you and 14 other individuals to go on worldwide immersion retreats where it's a whole experience, where we do fitness, we do workshops, we do joint venture collaborative people with not only like-minded, but like-hearted people. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of like-minded who are assholes, right? Like-minded as in like entrepreneurship and stuff like that, but they're assholes, So like-minded, light-hearted, you and I would be doing life globally, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying this now to call myself out and to put it into the universe that you and I will be doing something like that in the future.
I love that you just did that. I do that often too.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you tell someone else or you put it into the ether, all of a sudden you're accountable. It's not just in your own mind anymore.
Yep.
And I think that's a beautiful idea. And, you told me a little bit about this concept even a bit ago, and like the sort of passion that you have for it and the vision that you have for creating a thing like that. I think that, you are one of those rare people that would be able to put something together like that, that really does bring cool and interesting people with kind hearts and smart minds together in a way that creates like some really cool synergies.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the very core of it, that's the true definition of a mastermind. So don't get fooled by all these masterminds that you hear these days, where it's just a bunch of like these young Instagram millennial hustlers who call it a mastermind, but really a mastermind by definition is when two or more people are gathered with the spirit of harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. And so with the true mastermind, you and I are masterminding right now because we have the spirit of harmony and we have a definiteness of purpose in mind that we're trying to help each other accomplish and get that goal.
Right.
That's a mastermind. Right. It's not freaking IG story. Look at the Ferrari. Look at this dude's freaking iced out, you know.
You want a fucking iced out Rolex like this, bro?
Yeah.
Buy my $600 course right now to teach you how to get one.
Exactly. So just be careful, man, and just know that Nick and I are here to really pour into whatever we can to add value, man. Either way.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And if people want to get into contact with you, where can they do that, and how is best to approach you?
Yeah, the best is probably Instagram or my email. You could hit up Nick and get my number. That's no problem. And I'm really here to really authentically connect. And when I say authentic, I really mean that. You and I probably can sniff BS from a continent away now, you know?
Absolutely.
Right. So yeah, if anyone comes through Nick, man, like I'm open doors for you anytime, and literally have a phone conversation or even meet up in person if you're here in LA.
Awesome.
So
well,
yeah,
thanks for doing this, brother. It's fucking great.
Dude, absolutely. It's freaking epic, man. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Ingersöll Show.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and review the podcast. It would mean a ton to me. Honestly, it really would. And thank you to Cary. It was a great time chatting with you. Thank you for being on the show. If you think you would be great on the show or know of somebody else that you would like to hear, hit me up, ingersöllnik.com/AMA. You can ask me anything you want there on some of our AMA episodes, or if you have a good suggestion for an upcoming guest, please let me know. And until next time, I'll chat at you then. Peace.